take part in restoring a piece of history? Hi, my name is Alex Weiss, and as a member of the Toledo Lighthouse Preservation Society, I'd like to do a presentation today on why you should join our society. So, what are we about? Well, our main goal is to restore the Toledo Harbor Lighthouse. Now, this lighthouse is 113 years old, and it rests just 5 miles off the shores of Maumee Bay. So approximately only about 10 miles from this campus, 10-15 miles from this campus. The problem is the lighthouse hasn't been maintained at all for the past 20-30 years. So this has obviously caused the lighthouse to deteriorate rather quickly. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, first I want to give you a historical background. That way you know more about the lighthouse and what you'd be joining and trying to benefit. Then we're going to talk about how the lighthouse became to be in its demise state. And then we want to talk about how we're going to reprehend that and rehabilitate it. And then talk a little about our society's goals. So let's move on to the historical background. So, in 1897, the Toledo shipping channel was dredged, and this just was to allow bigger ships to come in. Ships were getting bigger, they just wanted to carry more cargo at once and make things more economical, so the channel was dredged. Well, when you have a shipping channel that's dredged, you need a lighthouse. So, Congress approved $37,000 in 1898 to build the Toledo Harbor Lighthouse. Now, it was quickly found out that this was nowhere near enough money to build the lighthouse. So, Congress, a year later, approved $100,000 to build the lighthouse. Now, the feat of building this lighthouse in itself is just a huge accomplishment. You got to think this was 113 years ago, and this structure is out in 20 feet deep of water. So 113 years ago, they had to figure out how to build a foundation in 20 feet deep of water on Lake Erie, which is known for its rough waters. So what did they do? Well, they developed this concrete crib, and you can imagine the size of this. It was 30 feet tall because it had to rest 10 feet into the lake bottom, plus the depth of water. And then they had to fill this huge concrete or steel crib with concrete boulders. And then work was finally completed in 1902. Now let's talk about the demise and fall. Actually, a little more historical background, sorry. So, the lighthouse, a lot of people might wonder, why is the thing 3 stories? Well, back in the day, the lights had a lot of mechanical equipment in them, and they would break down a lot. So 3 people lived in a lighthouse full time. A lighthouse keep and his 2 assistants, just to keep the light going. So that's why it's a 3-story structure, because it had bedrooms in it, kitchens, rec rooms. And then, like I said, their main purpose was just to keep this light going. So let's talk about demise and fall. Now, in 1966, the Coast Guard started putting automated lights in these lighthouses. And as I stated before, the main job of these lighthouse keeps before was just to keep that light going. Well, you can imagine that once the automated lights were in the lighthouse and there was no longer for a keep to be out there, the maintenance declined rather quickly because the Coast Guard's main goal was just to keep the light going, as opposed to when the lighthouse keeps lived there, they would actually do maintenance like fixing doors, painting walls, whatever they needed to do. Let's move on a little more to Magic Fall. So in 1990, the original light lens was removed, and this pretty much entirely took the lighthouse off the Coast Guard's maintenance list. They pretty much, at that time, would just drive by on their ships and say, hey, the light's working, guys, let's just keep going and going about our day. So, as you can see, the lighthouse is in a downward spiral. Now, here's some pictures, and the next few slides I'll blow them up for you so you can really see and get an idea of how bad it's gotten. Here's the interior. As you can see, there's almost no paint left on these walls. The door over here is non-existent. It must have fallen off. And like I said, there's no lighthouse keep around anymore to fix it, so why worry about it? You can just see the window frames. This probably can't see from your vantage point, but this window right here is actually broken out. Now, what little windows they do have left open is actually a miracle because most of them have been broken out by vandals over the years. So as you can see in this picture, these used to be windows, but now they're just all bricked in, because vandals are just breaking them all the time. So as you can see, it's gotten pretty bad. She needs to get some life put back in her. So let's talk about how we're going to do that next. So in 2003, in honor of the 100-year anniversary of the lighthouse, a group of civilians just like you and I got together and decided, hey, let's form a society to try to bring this lighthouse back to life. And in 2005, they applied to the U.S. government under the National Lighthouse Act, which allows civilians to take over lighthouses that aren't crucial navigation anymore, and they can form nonprofit organizations just like ours to help restore the lighthouse. So in 2006, we got our granted ownership, and to date we have almost 600 members, so our numbers are growing. And we'll go in a little more detail about how that's shown on the maintenance of the lighthouse. So let's talk about our society's goals. So what we first want to do is install a liftable dock, and that we've already done. And the whole point of this liftable dock is just so we can just simply get to the lighthouse. And then this will allow a future for our members to go out there and do tours, even for civilians to go out there and do guided tours, obviously with the member with them. The next thing we want to do is a three-phase process. So the first phase consists of new windows, doors, shutters, and doing maintenance work on the brick. As you can imagine, all the years, the mortar between the brick joints is really starting to dissipate, and that's what's holding the structure up, so that's really important to get that done. So the first phase consists of all the exterior things. We just need to get it to where it's structurally sound again. Second phase, we want to put infrastructure. We want to get electrical, plumbing, sewage, and then finally, the third phase, we want to do complete interior restoration. And this will allow us to get to our final goal, which would be to have a small museum out there, rooms where members can even stay in and stay the night. If you ever wondered how those old lighthouse keeps used to live, just imagine what it'd be like to be living out 5 miles offshore in the middle of the lake. So we want to give our members a feel of what that would be like. So let's go with a little bit more goals here. Now, our main goal is just to restore this national landmark. It's a huge piece of history. Here's one of my favorite pictures. This is the Edmund Fitzgerald, the famous freighter that sunk on Lake Superior. It's probably heard the song from Gordon Lightfoot. So it's just really cool. It just shows you how much a piece of history this is. I mean, we have this huge icon right next to our lighthouse that we want to restore. And then hopefully, if all goes to plan, the lighthouse will be around to see its 200th anniversary. So let's talk about how you can join our society if you would like to. So here we have a website, ToledoLighthouse.org, and this is where you can go on to get your membership application. And as you can see, I have our membership fees up here. They're really cheap. An individual membership is only $20 a year. Family membership is $35 a year. To be a part of something this big for that little bit of a cost is pretty amazing. So I hope that you'll consider joining for that small fee. So here's a summary of what we talked about today. Okay, some history. Hopefully you learn a little bit more about the lighthouse itself, and then hopefully you'll understand how it came to be, where it's at, and why we need to restore it. And then ultimately, I hope you'll join our society and hopefully help us restore a piece of history, just one little piece at a time.